So good evening, everyone. Today we're going live from the Women Inspiring Network. And we are very glad that you all could join this session today, which is in association with US Embassy in New Delhi. WIN is taking forward the conversation on youth and empowerment, Be the Change. And we are very, very excited to have all of you who are India's female change makers and trailblazers. And I am, of course, Shruti Jalan, founder of Women Inspiring Network, which actually took shape during lockdown last year. And we are 5,000 odd members now, but we've had 20 million reach in the last 1 year because of our collaborations and associations. Some of you have already been part of the Women Inspiring Network last year and in the recent past. So they know, and it's because of you all that we are where we are today. So Prachi, today, one of our panelists, Prachi Tehlan, is an Indian netball and basketball player and an actress. Prachi is former captain of the Indian netball team, which has represented India in 2010 Commonwealth Games and in other major Asian championships. So, of course, we're going to ask her a bit about ongoing Olympics also. Roma Narsinghani is a reputed designer, founder of the fashion label Roma Narsinghani, as well as the co-founder of Future Collective India. And she's, of course, participated in Digital Fashion Weeks, which we'll know a bit more about it in some time. Shruti Seth is an Indian actress and video jockey. Having begun her career as television show host, she's gained a lot of recognition of her roles in TV and the Hindi film industry. Gitanjali Babar is the founder and director of a non-profit named Kat Katha that works to empower and liberate sex workers in brothels in red light areas in Delhi. And she's also been a TEDx speaker and has been an amazing Indian awardee at times now. Actually, I've curated one of the TEDx events in association with American Center a few years back. So Gitanjali, it's great to know that. Meghna Ghai Puri is a passionate educationalist and is the president of Whistling Woods Organization, which is a reputed film, communication, and creative arts institute. And of course, she wants to fulfill her father's mission to make it the best film school in the world. And everybody knows what Whistling Woods is all about. And we have with us Margaret McLeod here with us. She's the Cultural and Educational Affairs Deputy at the US Embassy. And as a career foreign service officer, she served overseas in Mumbai, Islamabad, Japan. And she holds a doctorate in sustainable development from Columbia University and has studied at the Delhi School of Economics as a Rotary Scholar. She speaks and reads Hindi, Gujarati, and Urdu, and enjoys visiting museums and historical sites. So thank you so much, Margaret, for joining us. And I would request you to give us some opening remarks.
Certainly. Thank you, Stuti, for that introduction and for allowing me the opportunity to welcome our viewers to this conversation on youth empowerment. Thank you to the Women Inspiring Network for your work motivating youth, especially young women, to be the change by seeking economic empowerment. Over half the world's population is under the age of 30. Young people exercising their strength responsibly can lead to greater security, stability, and economic prosperity. I see that today's youth are eager to better their communities and help those in greatest need. Future community leaders are inspired by the chance to drive meaningful change, peace, and prosperity. Stuti, I see you making an unusual face. Do I have a bad echo? Anything I can do to make
I think that there was an echo, so I was just wondering, could you all hear it?
There's an echo. There's an echo.
Yeah.
Any better now?
Yeah, I think it's better.
Okay, excellent. I'll keep going then. The US government sees youth not just as beneficiaries, but as leaders and as partners in finding solutions to our shared challenges. They must be fully engaged in social development themselves and supported in this work by their societies. The impact of COVID-19 on economic development has made youth voices more important than ever. People-to-people ties are the foundation of the US-India relationship, and youth play a critical role in ensuring that strong foundation continues into the future. We support India's efforts to adopt reforms, promote sustainable and inclusive growth, foster innovation and entrepreneurship, and improve the lives of all people. Both our countries have seen young people benefit from effective business incubators, a key component of a dynamic ecosystem for innovation and entrepreneurship, and a potential path to greater trade and foreign investment. As tomorrow's influencers, innovators, creators, and leaders, youth can initiate conversations about the importance of practicing and promoting topics such as solving the climate crisis, enabling inclusive economic growth and women's empowerment, protecting democracy, and increasing civic engagement. I, for one, am eager to hear your ideas. As you move forward in your careers, you'll play an ever greater role in the economic growth of India. My hope is that this new generation of leaders will continue to strengthen the US-India partnership. So my challenge to you in this conversation is to determine what you can do to build a society that values and develops youth and encourages their economic success. Maybe it's hosting these kinds of dialogues at your university. Maybe it's launching an activity group with a common interest. I hope this afternoon's discussion will be a source of inspiration for you. Whatever your strengths and passions, I encourage you to share those talents to contribute to the growth, development, and empowerment of your country and your fellow citizens. Thank you again for joining us today, and I look forward to the discussion. Thank you, Stuti.
So thank you so much, Margaret, for the opening remarks. And I would like to start by asking, and any of you can take up the question first or I'll prompt you. But what, according to you all, what's your perspective on empowerment, the youth empowerment, and your thoughts on youth empowerment, and how can we be the change? Meghna, would you like to start? Or Prachi would like to start?
Prachi, you start.
Okay, cool. So, hi everyone. It's lovely to have all of you achievers here and having a conversation. So it's I think my third or fourth live with Stuti, and she's doing a great work. And she's one inspirational woman who inspires me every day. So thank you so much, Stuti. About empowerment, I think it is mostly, according to me, it's about health, it's about positivity, it's about communication, it's about decision making. And most importantly, what we are lacking today as a society is having a moral outlook to everything, which probably with the generations and with the advancement, with the digitalized world, we are lacking somewhere. So I think that is what my idea is about empowerment. And, wherever I go, wherever the people I meet, I focus on discipline, punctuality, my ethics and values, which I strongly hold as a sports person or whatever, other things I've done in my life. So I think that is something which inspires me, and that is something which I would like to take forward and inspire others through me.
And what are your thoughts, Meghna?
I want to just add to what Prachi said, and I think it's amazing what she said about health, especially because I feel like, health is the starting point, especially after this pandemic that we've seen, that really becomes the starting point for everything now. But I truly feel that, for empowering women, youth, men, anyone, any person, it's very important to first give them the confidence to believe in themselves. And I think that, I have about 1,200 students on campus, when we used to have on campus when we were offline, but we have 1,200 students engaged with us, 2,500 alumni out there, and Roma's interacted with them, and it's a different feeling interacting with youth. And a lot of them come from huge issues with their confidence. They don't believe in themselves. And I think as us as parents or us as role models for them, if I may say that, we must actually just try and build their confidence, really let them do what they're good at. And I think for the longest time, traditionally, the history of our country has really forced kids to go get into certain brackets. Yeah. So if we stop labeling individuals and we really just give them the confidence to believe in themselves, I think empowerment is something that will just follow naturally.
And Shruti, your thoughts?
But I really think Prachi and Meghna have put all our thoughts very succinctly in what they just said. But definitely health is primary. And I think we've all realized the value of that given the pandemic. And when I say health, I think I'm glad that mental health is being included in that gamut now. And it's being spoken about and is being accepted. And we've just seen what's happened at the Olympics. I really feel that Simone Biles, or for that matter, Naomi Osaka, have just become bigger champions by accepting and acknowledging their vulnerabilities, which is something I think we as a culture are not taught. Our school system only teaches us the way to become successful, but it never prepares you for failure. And that's a very big part of life. And all of us have seen it at some point in our lives. So I think, number one, Stuti, I think one of the greatest things that you can do is having conversations like these. So first, kudos to you for doing this. And I think the more we speak, the more we share, the more we open up our perspectives and our outlooks. And I think that is true empowerment, is being able to see things from a wider lens. Because we're so used to seeing things in a tunnel visioned manner, given your families, the upbringing that you had, your social conditioning, that you tend to see things only from a certain viewpoint. And empowerment for me is when you can see things as they are and not as you are. Mm-hmm. So I really feel the more we are able to communicate and open up conversations and expand people's horizons, the more empowered they will get.
Yeah. I'm so glad, Shruti, you brought this up. Just today, I was talking to my team and, we did put up the post on Simone and, I'm a big tennis fan and I've been watching Naomi Osaka, but it really takes a lot of courage to do what they did. And I'm really glad that you brought it up. Roma, what are your thoughts on youth empowerment and your definition of it and your perspective?
I think Shruti, Prachi, and Meghna, I think I've covered a lot of it. So I think for me, empowerment, it can be grand or it can be small gestures, thoughts, or words that really elevate those around us, right? It has to kind of lead them to a deeper understanding that'll eventually take them to greater heights and hopefully a peaceful and productive life. So I think it kind of starts from mindfulness as well, in terms of how we speak with people, how we interact with them. And yes.
And your thoughts, Gitanjali? I mean, you're doing a lot at the really grassroots level, so we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, if I come from that background, if I share from that background, then I would say for me, empowerment means celebrating choices. Anybody of us who have the agency to honestly listening to our soul, listening to our heart, and doing what we really want to do, I think that's what empowerment is. Because the area where I work, the women with whom I work, they have no agency over their body. They have no agency over their life. So I think empowerment is majorly for me celebrating choices.
That's really, really nice. So Shruti, this next question is actually for you. So tell us about the challenges you faced in your life, before you started in the film industry, in the, the acting world. So any of your learnings or challenges which you faced, when you had just started off?
So, I have to confess that I'm a Bombay bred child. So I was born in the city of work, of my work. I never left home to go and explore another world. I have literally lived in the same suburb my whole life. So I have to acknowledge, and I'm immensely grateful for the privilege that I've had, that I worked in an industry which is located in my hometown, the city of my birth. And to be absolutely honest, I would not say that I have struggled at all. And I know that this may reek of lots of disgusting privilege, but it's the truth. I became an actor purely by accident, and things just started to work in my favor. I had the liberty to pick and choose, and like Gitanjali just said, I can say that I was very empowered because I had the agency of choice, and I could choose the things I wanted to do and let go of things that I did not want to do, because I was raised in the city. I didn't have to make rent, and I know that how your choices change based on your circumstance. So while I saw a lot of my peers having to make very difficult choices, which luckily I could circumvent given the fact that I was raised here and I live with my parents. So I could say, yeah, I don't feel like doing this shoot. I would say that I got very lucky that I worked with some fantastic people. I worked with great producers, with great cast members. Everything I did luckily became immensely popular. It's still popular. So I have to literally say I struck gold purely by accident. I didn't design any of it at all. What I will take credit for is the fact that the opportunities that were given to me, I used them wisely. I've always had immense gratitude for all my privileges. And at no point did I allow that privilege to in any way get in the way of my professional ethic. So I would say yes, what I did do was that the opportunity that was given to me, I used it well. I made sure that at no point should any person who worked with me should turn around and say that they made a mistake bringing me on board. So that I think was the only thing that I've done from that's been my best effort. But other than that, I will say this again, that I'm very grateful. I've not really had any sort of struggle, so to speak of. I would say I'm struggling more now, to be honest, because I'm sort of transitioning in my career. You know, I'm going from being a certain kind of looking actor to being another kind of looking actor. So there's very little work happening in the, so I'm in transition. I would say I'm really actually struggling now because there is nothing I have to do. I just play the waiting game saying, okay, I have to now look a certain kind to get those roles. So, and again, I hate to use the word struggle because I know what it really means, and I would never want to undermine it by saying I've gone through it. I would say I have first world problems, and I have no reason to complain.
But I can totally understand. I remember Shruti meeting you many years back in Bombay when I used to reside. But, you know, we all reached that phase because, you know, when I started my communication business, I was all of 23 in Bombay. And last year during the pandemic, I was like, you know, I'm so passionate about women leadership. And that's how, you know, the Women Inspiring Network was born. I mean, you know, and that has kept me like inspired. So, you know, every different phase in your life, you're also looking at something to challenge yourself, you know?
Absolutely.
So I think, you know, I think it's never too early or never too late. But moving on to Prachi, tell us about your learnings and challenges, because you're a sports personality and, you know, we have the ongoing Olympics, and, you know, just throw some light on that.
So the times when I used to play, when I represented India, there was hardly any education which was related to sports in our country. So I always wanted to do sports management, but unfortunately during those days, there were not much institutes or opportunities. And then later on, I ended up doing an MBA in marketing HR after playing for country and after giving almost a decade to the sports career. I was like, I don't have anything to pursue sports in terms of career now, in terms of earning money, in terms of having a living. So I focused on education. I was working with Accenture, Development Bank of Singapore, a sports company named as 1800 Sports. And then, of course, acting happened. And the times when I played and the times now, I think there has been huge difference in terms of how athletes are motivated, not just by their families, but also by government in terms of the incentives they are getting, in terms of job opportunities they are having. Because I still remember during my days, the only opportunities in terms of jobs were like being a TT in railways or a PO in a bank, which I always considered doesn't complement my education, because I've done BCom Honors from Delhi University, I've done MBA. So I wanted to do something which is more meaningful, which involves brain, which involves my sports background and my sports experience being on ground. What I always wanted to do for sports, and I'm still working on it, is developing sports at a grassroots level. So basically, when I started playing sport, my coach used to be like, oh, she's very tall, so you should play basketball. So there was no technical aspect why I should play basketball. It's just that because height is anyway an advantage in all the sports you play, right? So for me, it was like, okay, somebody told me that you have to play basketball because you're tall, so I played basketball. Somebody told me in college, oh, you're really good shooter, so you should play netball. So I started playing netball and I played, for India. But what I really want to do is have a mechanism in place, with all the technical aspect to guide kids at a very young age and to help them assess that what sport they are good at. Maybe, they can choose 3 or 4 sports they want to play, and then we can guide them basis their physical attributes, basis their interests, basis what they're actually good at, so that they can take the particular sport professionally or not professionally, basis their choice. But I've always believed and I've always encouraged parents to make their kids play at least till a school level, because what I personally have experienced, what sports teaches you is teamwork, confidence, punctuality, discipline, which is extremely important in any aspect of your life, whatever you do in your life after school. I think it helps you in your college admissions. It gives you that extra power over normal students. I always say that everybody can be a topper in the class, but not everybody can be, there can be only one topper in the class, right? But every individual in class can be good in some or the other extracurricular activity. So you just need to choose it and you need to work around it because it really helps. And obviously, now being an actor, struggles are different. As Shruti rightly said, I so relate to you. Like acting happened to me out of nowhere in 2016 when this production house reached out to me on my Facebook fan page. And I was like, okay, within a matter of 3 days, I was on Star Plus, national television, with not even having any knowledge about the A of acting. So it was a new journey for me. It was a new city. It was a new profession. But I took it as a challenge. And as Shruti rightly said, that opportunities is something which when you get, you need to grab it and you need to have confidence and gratitude towards it. And then you just work around it, right? Yeah. And right now the challenges are different because I'm tall and, people end up telling me, oh, there are not much tall heroes in the industry. You're really tall, like I'm 5'11". So I'm like, what can I do about my height? I really can't help it. But then I'm just convincing people out there, so height these days is not an issue. It is how you look on screen, how you present yourself, how you connect with your audience is what really matters. Not everybody understands it. So this industry has literally made me very strong. And people end up telling me that, I operate in a very different and a professional way, which has come out as an advantage to me as an actor now. Whatever I learned as a sports person has come out as an advantage, which I'm always grateful for. And I think, having that feeling of, as I earlier also said, having your national flag on your chest and your surname at the back of your jersey and singing your national anthem in an international country, something, I really miss. I really miss that.
That's an amazing feeling. But thank you so much, Prachi, for sharing that. And of course, I'm going to ask Gitanjali, how do you feel, because you've empowered sex workers, and what motivated you to enter such a field and the challenges which you faced when you set up your NGO?
So I would not lie, there were many, many challenges. But the beauty was that I was too young to really understand that these are the challenges. I was in a very different energetic zone that time. I was 2021 when I happened to go to one of the brothels on GB Road. And that's when I realized that whatever I've been talking about, social change, was just words and nothing much, because this road exists, this place exists where women are exhibiting their bodies. Even in the winters of Delhi, they are not allowed to wear clothes. They're only allowed to wear spaghetti and shorts because they have to show off their bodies. And when I entered that space, some voice came from inside and I was like, I want to be here. This is my place. And that's it. I never forecast what challenges are ahead of me. I never knew what kind of resources will I need to be on this road, to work on this road. I mean, I'm a person who actually listens to the heart. And that's a problem with me also, because my mind doesn't work in some situations. And that's what happened. And I think that time it was a blessing which happened, because had I been practical, I would have just started thinking about my 5-year plan. From where will I get funds? Who will support me? Who will be there standing with me? But none of those questions came up. And that time, the only challenge, like the biggest challenge for me, was to convince people around me that this road needs some work to be done. This road need people. This road need, because it's a taboo in our country. It's a taboo. The moment you are passing through a red light district, people will ask you, why are you going that side? Why do you want to go in the brothel? Your parents, they will also question about your safety. Your brothers will feel embarrassed saying that my sister is going to a brothel. So initially, few years, my father was like, if if my friend is going to ask you, where do you work? Don't ever say GB Road. But eventually, I found my parents also coming on events on GB Road, going to different brothels, and then sharing those stories. So I think that transformation of people's ideology was a big challenge. That they will also say, okay, this road requires work and my daughter is going there. This road requires work and my friend is going there and I'm volunteering with her, I'm supporting her. And then other challenges like government has no interest in working for these women. For them, these women doesn't even exist. These women doesn't even have their election card. So getting that identity for these women has been a challenge. Fighting with these women, with the government, with the police has always been a challenge. And one more challenge, which I now, when I look back, was getting accepted by these women. Because you are there with all your intentions, with all the purity, with all the honesty, but they have always been betrayed in life. Now, why would they trust you? Why would they trust any outsider? Because people like us only sold them on that road. People like us have been raping them since child. Now, why would they trust us? So it took me 10 years to build that trust on that road. It's like now when I look back, 10 years look a lot. That saal, Rose, Subha, Sham, just by being there, just by being present to them, just by being available to them. Now the time has come where the women recognizes our work, where the women recognizes my face, and now they come up with their demands and what they want in life. So I think acceptance has been a really big challenge from everybody when you want to work in such an area.
Roma, your thoughts when you entered the fashion industry and your challenges? And
honestly, when I started my jewelry brand, it was such an organic journey. I was making pieces for myself actually, and I happened to I was working at Fashion Week and a designer spotted me wearing my pieces. I had no intention of starting a jewelry brand at that time. I was actually teaching at Whistling Woods. and of course, I used to do other projects on the side. And I liked the designer asked me and she's like, do you have more pieces? I have a show coming up in a week and I'd love to use them. I lied to her and I said yes. Took the flight back to Bombay, sat with my jeweler, made the quantity that they needed, made my logo literally on my own, on Word, because there was no time to do anything. And just about a week later, my jewelry was showcased at the show. And then Ogan approached me to stock the pieces. So I actually had to work backwards. So in terms of challenges, it was not having any plan at all was actually a challenge, because one decision that I always had taken is that anything that I do has to be conscious. And that was something, a big part of why I joined Whistling Woods as well, in terms of I was a part of creative forecasting. And a majority of that work that I taught was all about sustainability and conscious behavior. So now that all of a sudden I had a brand in a week, I had to kind of backtrack and be like, okay, what is going to be my packaging? How am I manufacturing this? What's the process that I'm going to use? Because having a concept is great, but creativity is actually an amalgamation of imagination, concept, most importantly, the process that goes into producing a piece, especially when you start selling it. So then I took a call that it's going to be made to order, because I did not want to minimize resources. There were a lot of struggles initially, but again, I would say like Shruti, I just kind of landed into this and it happened. So I definitely don't want to undermine that, but there is just organizing myself at the beginning of a brand while I'm sending it for shoots. I'm getting approached by exhibitions. So it was all working at a really fast sort of speed. And I've taken a lot of time to kind of come into my own and really create something that is small but solid. And the idea will always be to make sure everything that we produce is conscious. That's why even last year when we were hit by the pandemic, being a made to order brand, it's not like I had any stock, right? Because most people were trying to sell at least, because we all of us had to pay salaries. And so I decided to use that time and unlearn everything and think about creating a digital collection. that could be maybe sold to the gaming community, for example, where you create filters, and it's a complete augmented reality digital piece of jewelry that one can actually purchase. So that was a really exciting sort of space that the brand went into, and now it's become a part of our design development.
The pandemic actually taught all of us to how to reset ourselves and reinvent ourselves. That was a very, very good thought. And I actually had a question for you, Meghna, very specifically. Want to hear your perspective on some of the most essential qualities and values which we need to inculcate in the youth of our country, especially, how can we implement that in educational institutions? I would really, really like your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Thanks, Stuti, for asking this question, because it's quite close to my heart. And I think this last 15 months, 16 months has really given us perspective on what we're all about, why we are here, and, what our kind of, almost duty to our planet is. And I love that Roma mentioned sustainability, because that's one of them, of course. But I think that, in the youth today, open-mindedness, compassion, kindness, respect for others, courage to stand up for the right, really having the right attitude towards life. Yeah. And I think that given what we've been through, I feel these qualities are actually paramount now, because if we have to survive together in this world which is so interconnected, that a virus breakout happens in China and the whole world 16 months later is still, so we are really interconnected in terms of everything today, right? And I think for the youngsters, it's really, really important for them to really understand what kind of attitude they will have towards life. What's the attitude they will take to work? What kind of work ethics will they follow? Sustainability, the next 10 years to really work on all of the sustainable development goals and really figure out. So I think every educational institute must first focus on this. For the longest time, we focus on the technicalities. But if you want to make good entrepreneurs, Roma's story is so inspiring, because, she's just started something organically, but she remembered that, wait a minute, I have to be very sustainable in my business. So these are things that we have to include in every institute, every curriculum, whether it's medicine, whether it's finance, whether it's film, creativity, everywhere. So I think that these are the qualities. And how do they come about? I feel like when we're teaching, you can't preach to the youth today. Yeah. I mean, even I didn't like to be preached to, but I was still different. But today you just can't preach. Okay. So you have to lead by example. So it's going to be us. It's going to be us educators. It's going to be us people who are in the industry doing such wonderful work to really lead by example and work with the youth, take them along with us. I would love to kind of, for example, ask Geetanjali to take some of our students with her when she's doing this, so they learn how to build that trust. And as filmmakers, they can tell stories then based on that experience.
That's such an amazing thought, Meghna. And I'm going to ask this, and, any of you can answer this question, that, today you've all achieved something. You all are in leadership positions. And how can we use that influence, for the youth as a collective good? So I want any of you can please speak up on this. I mean, who would like to go first? Should I prompt? Prachi, Shruti?
Shruti.
So I think, I wouldn't call myself in a leadership position, to be honest. I think everyone here is doing so much more. But all I think I can say is, where I'm concerned, if I were to sort of exert any sort of influence on, say, a person who's looking at, exploring an opportunity to work in this line of, whether it's acting or hosting or whatever, I think what I really would like to do, and which is something all of us should do and which we can do for absolutely free, is to pass on the wisdom. That is really what you can do for others. Is not that it helps, and we all are just sort of wired to make our own mistakes, but even if a small misstep, at some level can be prevented, And I feel if any one of us can do that by wanting to genuinely guide someone from a place of pure humanity and nothing else, I really feel that that's a great way to make to have impact is what I would say. And while I'm an absolute advocate for carving your own road and having your own journey, I think there are so many things that I did not know when I was probably in my 20s, and I made some really silly, stupid mistakes. And then I kind of realized them when I was older, which is also why you're called wise when you grow older. But I do think that if there is anything that one can do to expand someone's, and what I said earlier, someone's perspective,
mentoring, you can mentor,
and just to let people know that a lot of things that we see are they're not how they are. It's how you view them. But to actually see things for what they are, and the fact that, I would always say, thankfully for me, when I was working, because I was from Bombay, I didn't have a very strong sense of competition as a person. And I would say that held me in very good stead, to be honest. I always felt there's enough for everybody. And as an actor, I can't do all the acting jobs, can I? So I will have to believe that what's meant for me will find me. And if I do it well, it will bring me the kind of recognition, love, adulation that I deserve. And I think that really helped me, because I feel my attitude towards my peers was based on the fact that I never saw them as competitors. I always saw them as allies, as allies. And that's why you stand up for other female actors, and that's why you stand up for unethical working environments, is because you don't see the other person as a competition. You see them as an ally, saying, if I can help somebody, I'm going to quickly just tell you guys a quick story about what happened back in the day when I was doing Shararat. I remember there were some issues happening with our payments weren't coming in on time. And because I was in the leading cast with Farida Jalal and Poonam Narula, our contracts were designed differently to make sure that our payments never ever got delayed. But the other actors did not have that. And I remember always fighting for them, saying, why won't you pay them? So I remember once I refused to go to shoot because I said, this is not done. You can't be exploiting people. And I said, you haven't paid the other actors. And I remember the production controller saying, but they've come to work. Why are you at home? So I remember I stood up for what I thought was right. And I didn't have any reason to even take that stand because my payments were coming in bang on time. So they were like, why are you not coming to work? I said, no, I'm fighting for other people. And they were like, yeah, but they're all here. So I'm saying that, but it was something that I remember all of them always speaking of with a little bit of fondness. And I feel that if we can do that for each other, where you stop seeing other people as competition rather than, that's how you empower yourself and you empower people around you.
What are your thoughts, Roma, Prachi, Gitanjali, Meghna?
So I would talk. Thank you, Shruti, for sharing your experience. I can so very relate to you because I'm from the same industry now. And as an actor, I think it has given me a platform to make any change happen. Though I also believe that I'm not in the position right now to influence anyone because there's a long way to go and I'm still young. I really have to achieve so much. And I've been this competitive person since a very young age when I probably didn't even understand the meaning of, what competitiveness really means. But I've been super ambitious, extremely hardworking. And for me, what has happened in life always is probably I'm working hard, knocking 10 doors, and there'll be a sudden 11th door which opens for me out of nowhere. So probably the hard work which was put into to specific areas, I won't get rewards from that, but from a different industry. For example, sports gave in a lot of things, but in spite of career and having that recognition and being monetarily stable, acting helped me. So, and why I became an actor, because because I had a good presence being a sports person, and that's how they recognized me. So, sometimes when I look back in time, I feel, why did this happen to me? Why aren't there much opportunities? But you never know what is going to happen in future, right? And then we think back, oh, this was the reason why things happened in such way into your life. So, as Shruti rightly said, that moral outlook is something which I swear on. I mean, being good to people around you, spreading that positivity, motivating them. Even your small gesture of smiling at them and listening to them makes them feel so good. And with this digitalization and social media, though it has its own, pros, positive points in terms of reaching out to a wider audience, but it has also its negative aspects wherein, I've known people messaging me on Instagram, these young girls, guys who feel depressed, who are suppressed in life. And I feel really bad for them that, they have to reach out to random people for help, maybe because they take us as influencers and motivational sources, or maybe any one sentence which we tell them is going to change their mood for that specific time for better, or maybe change their lives for better. So I think for me, there's a long, long way to go, but I'm glad that Women Inspiring Network believes that I can be in that position wherein change happens. And yes, another thing which I really want to do in life in future, I don't know when that is going to happen, but I want to leave a legacy for myself. I want people to remember me as Prachi Tehlan, who did this thing for the society, because it's okay. I mean, everybody does things for themselves. Something what Gitanjali is doing. Gitanjali, it's a request. Whenever you get a chance, and these are Delhi, please let me know whenever I can be a part of your program. I would love to come. Whistling Woods, Meghna, let me know whenever I get a chance to meet you. Shruti is my senior from the industry, and a motivational journey of Roma. I really want to know the process, how you made it happen for yourself. So hats off to all of you, and thank you so much for being strong and having faith and confidence in yourself, because somewhere we don't realize the change that we are making, but we are actually making change which people realize about us. I think that is.
And tell me, Gitanjali, Roma, and Meghna, your thoughts on how we can empower the youth. Any of you can go first. Roma, Gitanjali, Meghna.
I don't know if I'm an influencer, but I think everyone does influence people, especially considering we're in this day and age of social media, right? Within our circles, we can always do that. But I feel like with our professions and with so many universities now, and for me, an interesting journey was to actually teach at Whistling Woods. It actually gave me the confidence to even go to other universities and do master classes. So I think sharing that knowledge and being there for those students, like I till date get messages from students from Whistling Woods. If 3 years down the line, they're working, they'll send me a lookbook and be like, I've just created this. What are your thoughts? And actually being there for them. So I think if you are in a position where you've learned something and you can give that back in some way. So I think, so I wouldn't say teaching really, but even if one can do master classes, if they don't want to go into a space of coming up with coursework and all of that, but most universities really accept that really well. I'm sure Meghna can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that would be a great way for to really pass on what one has learned and actually be there for the students beyond that, and have an open door policy.
Your thoughts, Meghna, Gitanjali?
Gitanjali, you want to go first?
No, you go, Meghna.
So just taking on from Roma, then I think it'll be, like a continuity. But I think, mentorship is something what, Roma mentioned. And I think that's really important for us, all of us who've got real life experiences, because students can't be disconnected with the real life. Yeah, they need to understand what the real world is, and they need to, and like Shruti said, a lot of them do come from towns and cities that they don't have any exposure beyond that city or beyond that town. So it's very important for us who've achieved, who've gone through our struggles and all the adversities, to really share those challenges with them, so that they understand that it's okay to go through challenges, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. But one of the things that I would really say is to empower the youth, we need to educate the youth, and the right kind of education, and start very young. We really underestimate our kids. Kids these days are very, very smart. And I'm just not talking about city kids. I'm talking about kids all over the country. Kids are just smart. I mean, they just don't they're just very different from what we were when we were young. And I think that, sorry, I have a construction going on here. Can you guys hear me? Is there a disturbance?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
But I think education is really important. So, really starting young, letting them know about the various options they may have. So, again, I want to share one experience that, so Miss Thing Woods, every year we do workshops for NGO children from underprivileged backgrounds. And we do workshops in cinematography, acting, screenwriting, various things, and try to give them a little bit of input on what creativity is. And then we select children who can then further be selected for a scholarship program to study at Whistling Woods. So they can do a 2 years or a 3-year degree program. And this year, when we did the interviews, we had some 40 kids who passed the workshop stage. And we had a budget limit for about 4 kids. We ended up giving 8 scholarships, because they were so bright. I mean, Roma, there was a fashion student, like he's just likes to tailor literally in his father's tailoring shop, but so passionate, right? So they're very young. They know very early what they want to do. And I think that is something that we need to understand and really go out there and talk to the younger kids as well about the various career options they have, so they can make that choice, like Gitanjali said.
And Gitanjali, your thoughts? How can you, help, you are in a position to sort of empower people, and how can you be an influencer to the women around you?
Actually, Stuti, the more I say, or I listen to this word called influencer, the more it looks like a pressure. Because when you go onto that road, like initially when I went onto that road, I went with this feeling that I am coming from the outside world and I have more knowledge and I know much more than these women. But when you meet those women, like if I just share one simple story of one of the girls whom we rescued 5 to 6 years back. She's now turned 18 2 days back, and she's coming back to our organization because she was with the government for all these years, because we had to rescue her from our village. And every time I share that story, I especially mention that the rescue operation in her village, where every girl is forced into sex work, but she managed to come out with us, was only because of her, was only because of the confidence in herself that she can come out and she wants to study and not get sold or get married at a very young age. So I think what we have realized in our sector, what we really had to do was just to be there with that child. When the child is feeling low, just be there, because even I feel low in my life, and I don't want people to come and tell me aisa karo, aisa karo, aisa karo. When they come and tell me, I get irritated. And similarly, I've seen my children getting irritated. They come and tell me, you don't know my situation, you don't know, I don't know who my father is. Have you ever been in such a situation? I can't sleep peacefully at night. I'm so scared of police. They'll come and take my mother's. Like, if all of us have different challenges, but one thing which is very similar is that all of us have a heart, and our heart always tells us the right thing. So if we start listening to that, if we be a little mindful to that, I think the world which we'll create is going to be very beautiful. It's going to be a world of mindful beings. And I think every time we get into a discussion like that with the women and children, sometimes they empower me, sometimes I empower them, and it ends up becoming like a platform where we are all getting our share of positivity. So I think that has worked with us. Yeah, जब भी मैंने lecture देने का कोशिश करा, I've always had a backlash.
So we have a very less time. So we have only 2 questions we'll take up now, the last 2 questions. So let's keep our answers crisp, because we're sort of reaching the end. So what do you all feel about social media? Because it's become larger than life, and it's also giving people a voice. So there is that thought of it. And I'm clubbing it with the other question which I have, that, everyone has fast-paced ourselves, like with Zoom, like we've all been working from home for the last year and a half. So, digital has played a very important role, whether it's education, whether it's office, whether it's, you being an influencer or an actor. So So I'm just asking you, like, it's more, you can talk about social media if you want to, like how it's playing a larger than life role for our lives. And, we all glued in, and how digitally we are all educated ourselves, and how it's playing such an important role specifically in India. So, Meghna, you could give from your institute's point of view, or so who would like to go first? Shruti, shall we start with you?
So I think number one, again, all of us should be very grateful that at a time where we've all been isolated and locked away in our homes, we've still remained strangely connected because of technology. And there is a reason why things are created, is because they serve humanity to a very large extent. It's also self-serving and extremely harmful to the planet also at many times. But I think when it comes to living digitally, I think at this point, it's really kept us connected. So we all need to be grateful for it. Having said that, it can become, it's up to you whether you want to use it as a weapon or you want to use it as something that...
we are empowering the youth also, like today also, like...
Of course we are. Absolutely. The fact that, someone is sitting in their room right now and watching the six of us speak, where in an offline world, they would have had to actually make a journey, come to a place, buy a ticket, get into a room. This is so much easier, right? You're being able to reach people so much faster. So I would say that it's something to be grateful for, absolutely. And we should recognize the ease that it has given us in terms of communication and work and all of that. Sadly, as actors, we've still been locked in. We can't act from home. So this hasn't really helped our cause, but it has kept us connected. We've stayed in touch with people globally, So I would say that I've seen it as a great instrument in these times. Having said that, where social media is concerned, I think anything in your life, and literally anything, can turn into a curse or a boon, and that depends on how you use it. So while I would just tell everyone who sees, our lives on social media, you have to know better that it is curated for social media. It's not my real life. And where I try and keep it as real as possible, you don't get to see my dark days. You don't get to see my low points, because I don't want to talk about it. It is not something that I want to show the world. And I'm showing you a very curated, happy, a very aspirational sort of picture of my universe. That is not all there is. My life is very, very well-rounded. I go through all the things everyone goes through. At some points, I've also spoken about the hard times, but you have to understand it's a curated picture of my universe. It is not all there is to me. And that is the case for everyone who's on social media. So as long as you know that, and I'm showing you a very pretty picture, you can see it, feel happy, smile, use it, have a good thought about it. Just don't think this is all there is to my life. So with that kind of knowledge, I do think that technology can be a boon or a curse entirely on how it is used.
Yeah. Meghna, your thoughts specifically, because you're running an educational institute, and how the digital wave has also empowered the youth and a bit on social media.
Yeah, well, truly empowered them. I think with young students, they don't have to look for great amounts of money, and they can just make content, put it out there. They found audience there, and I think that's great for them. They can experiment. They can really, really put their creativity out there. But balance is required, like Shruti said, and I think that media literacy is also very important for every. So with social media, we need to club that with education. We need to let students know that what they're reading in the newspaper may not be completely true. It may be somebody's opinion, and the same with social media influencers. So I think that balance, media literacy, education, but definitely, I don't even know what we would have done without social media and without technology in these last 18
in these times.
So, yeah.
And Roma, your thoughts? I know digital fashion weeks, and you've done a lot of stuff with Helsinki Fashion Week and AI, and so throw your light how you can empower the youth.
It totally transforms the way I actually run my brand. We were, of course, all our products are still handmade, but now we have a whole department just that's catered towards every piece that we create is developed online what that does, I mean, on digitally, and what that does is that it minimizes your resources. You do all your iterations online, so the material is not being used. There's less carbon footprint that goes into it because you're not physically going somewhere. Then you can make sure the piece that you're putting out there, you can test it out on people. So you're actually kind of, in some ways, understanding what people want from you rather than just making collection after collection and hoping that it sells, you know? So I think it's, at least for the youth, it's great because most universities now offer digital design, right? And even if you're a recent graduate, you will be able to create a 3D model, put it on Instagram, and be able to take orders on it and then produce it. So I think that's really exciting in that sense. But of course, one thing that I think we'll see more of is digital sustainability, because I think that's a very important factor that everyone forgets about, because if I'm talking about digital design particularly, right, it takes a lot of energy. So I think that's where I will be headed. And I think for everyone who's watching and who is into digital design, that's something you should consider in terms of about how do you want to reduce your digital sustainability in environmental impact.
And Prachi, your thoughts? You know, because with the ongoing Olympics and, you know, everybody is glued on to social media talking about so much issues, and you are an influencer now from being a sports personality. So your thoughts on that?
So I think everybody has spoken all the good things about social media. And if it was not the need of my profession, I would have been the last person to be on the social media, to be honest, because I feel that I love being connected with the real world. Like having real conversations, like still reading books, like still reading paper books rather than reading stuff online. So I've that old school in me, and I've always, you know, fantasized it and appreciated it. But yes, I think time management is extremely important, and most of my time goes in editing those reels and editing those pictures, making it perfect for people to have the maximum number of likes and maximum number of comments. So I think it's an additional pressure, and it takes a lot of time for you to curate that content for your social media. This is other than all the good things we all have already spoken about. So yes, I'm sure this digitalization of the world is going to increase in the future. Better. I know, and it's very unfortunate, but yes, time management is extremely important, and you know, giving time to family, and you know, we can't forget about the roots. We can't forget about the old times. I think it is very important for the upcoming generations to have them an essence of what it used to be like for us in our childhood days.
And now that we're reaching the end of the session, our last question is, when you all were kids, did you all get inspired by anyone's achievement, and, you know, any winning message for the youth of our country, you know, which can inspire them? So any incident you remember as a child, and what can be your winning message to inspire the youth of our country? Who would like to go first? Gitanjali, would you like to go first?
Sure. There's no achievement, but there was this, and it was not when I was very young. When I was 21, and I started going to GB Road, this happened then. There is a woman on the road who I always found, she's known as a mad woman. People say that don't talk to her. She'll abuse anybody. She'll beat anybody. And she's like on her own. I call her Bawari. That she's like just doing what she wants to do, and she gets food from somewhere, water from somewhere, and she sits anywhere. She talks to any man on the road. She's like, actually, whenever I look at her, like, I wish I also am able to do that without the fear of being judged by anyone. So this lady, I found her, I was waiting at the red light district on a red light in my auto, and I found this woman. There was this beggar on the side of the street, and this Didi was also standing there, and it was raining. For me, she was a mad woman, as everybody said. But what I noticed was that she saw that beggar, she sat with him. I don't know what she spoke with him. Then she ran to a tea shop. She got 2 cups of tea. She got this to the beggar. The beggar was like, "Usne aisa kuch kiya." She went back. She got 2 biscuits packed. And then she sat with him, and they both started having biscuits and chai. And that was a moment I felt that, I mean, for the world, she might be mad, but actually she's making so much of difference. And that's my message to everybody, my winning message also, that you matter. These two words are really important for all of us to understand, that we matter. Whatever little we can do in our lives, without wasting our energies in saying that, okay, once I achieve this, then I'll start doing something. Once I reach this place, I'll start doing something. Once I earn this much, I'll start doing something. Don't wait for that. Even a cup of tea can change somebody's life. And that woman didn't know that she's changing my life too, just by offering that cup of tea to that beggar. So yeah, that's my message to everyone, that you matter, and it's time to just accept the fact that we are blessed.
Yeah. And Roma, your thoughts?
In terms of who I was inspired by,
and any winning message to inspire the youth, or any incident, if you remember when you were a child and you were like, wow, this is it.
I was obsessed with Alexander McQueen when I was in school. I mean, I had seen every piece that he had ever made, and I took a decision when I was in school that I only want to study at Central St. Martin's, because McQueen studied there, and they were only accepting 2 students from Kuwait. I'm originally from Kuwait. I have not slept. I worked so hard. In some ways, it was rigid as well, because I had taken a call: if I don't get in, I won't carry on studying art and fashion. And I did get in. So I think that's one story that I can remember. And I actually got a chance to intern with the company as well for 3 months. So I think that was the most exciting thing, that it's something I thought of when I was 16. And I actually got to be there in that building and work in that space, even if it's for just a 3-month internship. And a message would be, at first, they'll ask, why are you doing it? Later, they'll ask you how you did it. So I think believe in yourself, go for it, but just make sure anything that you do, don't damage the environment in the process. We just cannot afford it anymore. We cannot. That's it. Thank you.
Shruti, your thoughts?
Firstly, I have to just thank Gitanjali for sharing that, because I think it made all of us smile, and it says so much, right? Women who do whatever they want are considered mad by the world. So I think all of us should just celebrate being crazy. And I think it is important to keep pushing, and like you said, that we tend to forget how we impact lives. I think for me, my earliest memory of a woman who really inspired me was Madonna. I don't know why. I just remember being really silly and dancing to all her songs, but just something about her was crazy. And I was like, how is this woman doing this? You know, she's managing to piss so many people off. And I think that's what's important. You want to start disrupting shit. That's what you want to do as you know, as people. Just don't disrupt the planet, like Roma said. Be good to your environment. It's the only planet we have to live in. And I think my winning message to everybody would just be that at the end of it, you know, we just become a memory for everyone. So we should just aspire to be a good one. That's it.
Meghna, your thoughts?
I was thinking, I had the chance to think while they were all talking, but I was thinking about the person. And, you know, when I was graduating from 12th grade, I studied in London, and I was in boarding school. Our chief guest was Jane Goodall. Okay. And at that point, I was just this girl from India, and I had no idea what she had achieved. But when she spoke, I was blown away. And then, of course, I went and researched her. I followed her career. And I think, even though I didn't do what she obviously does, but I think the compassion, you know, the kindness in her heart when she spoke to us. And I'm going to go back to my opening words. I think the message for the youth today is that please be compassionate. Please be devoted to your work. You know, passion is one thing, but having devotion for it, like really, really respecting what you do, any kind of job, and especially in our industry, all of you guys who are in our industry will know that all of us have, even me. I mean, people think nepotism and, you know, Subhash Guy's daughter. I have served coffee 2 stars. I have brought dresses, costumes 2 stars and shown them, is this okay? All of us have done. We start there. That's how we are trained in the industry. So please don't just do whatever work you get. Have the right attitude towards life, and trust me, it'll be so rewarding that, you know, you will not regret it. So please just have that kind heart, compassionate heart, and have the right attitude.
And Prachi, your winning message, but also I want to ask you if you can club it with, any inspiring message for our team, which is there for the Olympics, and, and as a sports personality, and how we can empower more people in our country to take up sports, because being a country of 1.3 billion, we all get excited when we just get one medal, so I mean, we can produce so much more, just like China. So I want
Unfortunately, the irony is, when these athletes who win today, when they're training, when they're in the process, nobody supports them. And when they win that one medal, everybody wants to retweet, everybody wants to share their, messages of congratulations on their social media, because everybody wants to show the world that how aware they are. They might not have seen the match. They might not even know what sport that woman played. But it's just what the digitalization does to you, right? But it is still a very, very good time for the athletes, because of the kind of support they have from the government. They have a voice to share their issues and the problems, with people who are concerned authorities. And they're doing well, and it's a great time for individual sports, especially. I feel for team games, there's still a long way to go. But for individual sports, I think, because it's just you focusing on yourself and the hard work you're doing, which is going to show results in the big competitions. And about that winning message, I think confidence comes with the clarity of thoughts. So, if you have clarity in your life and what you have to do, confidence automatically follows. But if you're not clear, if you're confused that whether you should do this or whether you should do that, then how are you going to be confident about anything? And being successful is a combination of, working hard, having that willpower to not just, for not letting anything demotivate you, and having that, grabbing that opportunity, that one opportunity that comes your way. I feel honestly that everybody gets that one opportunity to make it big in their lives. Everyone, be it a privileged person or a non-privileged person, you just need to have that dedication, willpower, and you need to be hardworking to grab it and make the best of it. I think that is extremely important. And yes, clarity, of course. I still remember when I was 18, 19 years old, and I'd gone for this event. And there were small little kids who came and touched my feet just because I represented India. And I literally got goosebumps. And oh my God, I was not used to that. But it somehow created that spark in me that I have to inspire these kids. They look up to me for something. They're having people who call me, message me that we just want to touch you once. We just want to see you once. So I think those people, that motivation, that inspiration, for such people inspires you to do more and be the change for what we all are here for, to talk about our journeys. And thank you again, Win.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us, all of you. As you all know, the Women Inspiring Network is an inspirational storytelling platform which creates, shares, and inspires, and it's a movement to pay it forward. So in our own way, we want to get the inspirational stories out there, because, personally, it kept my team and me inspired last year during the pandemic. And, hearing such stories even now gives me the goosebumps. It's really interesting to know how each of you have created the change, you've been the change, and how we can all come together and empower the youth of our country. And I'd like to thank the US Embassy, because this is an event in association with them. And thank you once again for all of you joining us, and hope to see you again on our platform soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I quickly just say a big thank you? I can't tell you, this has been such a lovely afternoon, and it's so nice to meet the four of you, Meghna, Roma, Gitanjali, Prachi. It has been delightful to hear your stories, and please keep doing what you do. And thank you so much, Stuti, for making me a part of this conversation. I feel richer than I did 1 hour ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Stuti.
Lots of love.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye. Stay safe, guys. Bye.